what did you do to take care of yourself this week?
What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us. It's your girl T Grove, Tracy, Adrian, and we are
Wife Life Tribe, doing life as wives and friends. What's going on, ladies?
Hey, y'all. Shout out to our girl Denise, who could not be with us today. She's handling some really important mom duties, but she will be back with us next week.
Absolutely.
We know how those mom duties go. Woo.
Yes.
So, ladies, I'm just going to jump right in because I have a question for you. How or what did you do to take care of yourself this week?
This is tough. And I say that because yesterday I attended a wellness summit. And one of the sessions I went to talked about self-care. And one of the questions we were given in a questionnaire is, are you a superwoman? And the way she opened up the segment was she's asked us, what did we do this week for self-care? I could not answer that question. I cannot answer that question. And here you go again. Bring it up.
Look at God. Look at God.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back to the fact that you didn't do anything to take care of yourself this week. So, like, as many of you guys know, well, as you two know, I don't know about many of them, but we had a death in our family this week. And we talked about a lot about how we don't take care of ourselves until we get sick. So I took it upon myself to climb the mountain today. Now, what did I do for the other part of the week? Nothing, because I had to travel for the service. I had to take care of my son. He had his ball this weekend. So it seemed like I was giving a lot out. So I said that when I woke up this morning, I was going to do something for myself. I cleaned my house, which is not self-care because what our house has been atrocious. And then I went to the mountain, walked up the mountain, and it was amazing. Came down and felt rejuvenated and happy. I got up there and prayed. It was just amazing. And I did it all by myself. And it was just a lovely time. I went halfway. And then when I got halfway, I said, you can do this whole thing, girl. And I went ahead and did that.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. Get it. All right. See, what did you do?
This week, I did not do anything super intentional that I can think of. Now, I had gone a few days without taking my iron supplement, and I did remember to do that the last 2 days. But I would have to be honest and say this was not a good week for self-care because at least 3 times this week I went to sleep way too late. And I nothing comes to mind. Like I was not intentional. And one thing that I can think of that I specifically did to target self-care. Oh, I'm lying. I had paused my therapy sessions for the last, I think it's been maybe a month and a half. And I started my sessions back. I reached out to my therapist last week to unpause them. She was generous enough to hold my spot. And I had my first session on Monday, and that felt really good. It was a really good session. So I did have that on Monday to start the week off.
Well, that is good because I'm going to say when you go to your therapy sessions and you get your action steps and then you bring your action steps to us and then we have to do them. It's like we're all in therapy.
Yes. Yes. The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, goodness. So I'm very proud of you and I'm very happy for us. How about that? That's good. Okay, so now let's talk about how we're going to be intentional on self-care this week. What can you think of that you would like to do for yourself? And I'm going to do the same. So I don't wait till Sunday to get that self-care done. But what can you think of that you need to do this week that's taking away, that makes you step away from your family, makes you step away from your friends, and just take care of you? Now, we know Wednesday, our time together with our girls, that is our self-care for the week. We know that. But we didn't even have a good session last week. It's kind of like it was very hit and miss. And I feel like I felt it. So let's think about some things that we can do. What can you do? Let's take a moment to think about what we can do to make sure we take care of ourselves this week.
Now, I already know my answer, and I know that from yesterday's session. I said I was going to get back to incorporating exercise in my weekly routine because I haven't done that honestly since mid-March. Just trying to get out there, being intentional, at least walking 2 to 3 miles is what I want to do. And now that we're a little settled into the new spot, I want to get out hopefully today. That's the goal, to walk at least 30 minutes because I can tell a difference when I did it then and how I am now, because the past couple of weeks, it's just been stressful. And I can feel that weight of that stress just sitting on me to where I don't want to think, don't ask me no questions, just exhausted. And so I'm like, I got to figure out a way to channel this even if I have to carve out time early in the morning to get it done. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get back to walking 3 days a week. That's what I'm doing. And I'm starting today.
Awesome.
See? I would have to go back to my bedtime, to sleep. I have not been getting enough rest. And with me already dealing with being vitamin D deficient and low iron, like I know that I actually mentioned this, I forget who I was talking to, but with the whole weight loss issue that I'm having, like I know that a big part of not being able to lose the weight comes from me not getting enough sleep, because of course when we sleep, our body, has the opportunity to reset, and that's when we burn the most fat. And my bedtime is not, that's probably one of my worst habits. Going to sleep too late. And I already struggle with waking up in the morning. So when you talk about things like Adrian said, like trying to make sure that you're getting at least a little bit of exercise, like my energy is usually so low and I'm so tired and I struggle to get up in the morning. So trying to get up and do even 15 minutes of a workout in the morning is such a big struggle. Working school and then aftercare, by the time I get home in the evenings, I'm depleted of energy. So trying to get in at least 15 minutes of, a low impact exercise seems like such a tall mountain because I'm just always so exhausted. And I know a lot of that comes from me not being disciplined enough to shut down when I need to and go to sleep at a good time. So I think that's going to be my the one thing that I'm going to choose to be intentional about this week.
That's amazing. That's good because sleep is very important. My thing this week is going to start back choosing my top 3, and not stressing about everything else. So I'm going to pick my top 3 things that I make sure I get done for the week, and everything else is going to have to kind of take a back burner to those 3 things. And because I do find joy in working on my business, I've not been doing that over the last few weeks. That's going to be one of my top 3. But under that top 3, I'm going to have my little action steps. So there'll be my head step and then my few action steps that I want to get done through the week. And one on that is going to be exercise as well. One thing that I'm going to try to do for my energy level, T, is I am going to take the hormone test. So I'm going to make that one of my 3 things to make the appointment to get my hormone test done, because I feel like my hormones are out of whack. I woke up with the nastiest attitude this morning, and my husband had to feel it. And I'm sorry, honey, if you watch this episode, just know that on May 7th, I had an attitude when I woke up. And and I'm sorry, but I am going to get my hormone levels checked, just because talking to that GYN that we talked about last week, she was talking about how that can kind of throw you off in weight loss. It can throw you off in your energy level. It can throw you off in so many things. And I just want to check to see where I fall on that spectrum, and my cycle, of course. So that's my goal for this week. That's one of my top 3. So making my big 3 and then having my action steps to get those big 3 done, and not worrying about everything under the sun, because I cannot get it all done.
You're absolutely right. We can't. And I think as women, and we say this all the time, but we try to do everything and we cannot. It's okay to delegate. it's okay to have someone else do other than us. At the end of the day, if it gets done, if that's the goal, it doesn't have to be us that has to do it. And we as women, as mom, as wives, it's a lot. And we've got to step back and be intentional, because I think about the conversations we have. We like to encourage each other, but we don't like to take our own advice. And, and I know I'm guilty of it. So it's like, a lot of people have been saying, of course, everyone knows Jamie Foxx has been in the news about being sick and how he was had 8 days left on filming. I believe that's right. Had a few days left on filming. They replaced him with a stunt double and finished the film.
What?
Yes. So it lets you know at the end of the day, they're going to do what they have to do. So you need to take care of yourself, because if you're not here, they're going to replace you and keep it moving. And so he is risking his life to be back on the set after suffering a heart attack. Yeah. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to delegate and allow someone else to step in and do, and it's okay to say no. And I'm talking to myself when I say that. It is okay to say no. It's okay to say, I'm not going out. I don't want to go hang out. I don't want to do that. I want to be home. It's okay, because we feel guilty if we have to say no. Yeah.
It's not my struggle. Oh, baby, I don't mind saying, no, y'all got it. I'm gonna be at the house, but probably quite the opposite. It's probably just as bad. Too much of anything is no good. I will be laid up sleep when I should be handling important things to not be stressed out about having to do them at the last minute. But you're right. You're right. That's very valid. And a lot of us do struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I do. I have, first of all, I have a bad case of FOMO. I don't like to miss out on anything. So when people invite me, I'm like, how can I make this work? How can I make this happen? And that causes me a lot of stress too. I believe my attitude this morning was because Sundays I want to cook breakfast and dinner at the same time. I know that's a lot, but it's so that my husband has dinner for Sunday, because I don't cook on Saturday. So it's so that he has dinner on Sundays when he goes to work overnight. And then he has to go to pick up our daughter on Sundays, on every other Sunday. So that Sunday is the Sunday that causes me the most stress, because it seems like I have to do everything and it's a lot. So I just had to say this morning, after, like, I had an attitude, I was walking around with attitude, and then I just had to say, okay, I know why I have an attitude. Sundays are very stressful for me because of A, B, and C. And he was like, well, babe, I'm glad you said something, because I can take on B. So he took on B. My attitude was lifted. Rather than just communicating that, I kind of walked around with, the weight of the world on my shoulder. And going back to what Adrian said, I could have just delegated that to him. Of course, I don't call it delegation when I'm talking about my husband. I gave shared responsibility. So I shared the responsibility of what was in my head with him, and it made all the difference in the world. And now I can smile with y'all.
Yeah. Or when we share the responsibility, I'm bad about this, we coming back to check, is it done? That's hard. Is it done right? Oh, it's hard. Honey. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one.
Honey. B, y'all know I said I had A, B, and C to do, and he took B. I came back to B about 3 times. I didn't say anything about the way B was done, because that ain't none of my business. I just kept it moving. Even though in the back of my head, I was like, ooh, this part of the counter still got, but whatever, because I want to walk on the mountain. And if I can get A, B, and C done, I can go to the mountain, come back, chit chat with my girls, and have the rest of my day, So once we get done, I can move on to something else, and I'm not going to worry about B.
It's hard though. It's so hard. Oh, I'm so guilty. If you're like, I got it. Well, let me see.
Do you get it like I be getting it?
Oh my gosh. It's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see, what our listeners, our viewers are out there doing for self-care. How are you ladies or gents taking care of yourself? What are some things that you do? And from the health summit I attended yesterday, one thing the doctor said was taking a vacation is not necessarily self-care, because how many times do we go on vacation? A couple of times a year. Going for a massage is not necessary, because how often do we do that? She would say we have to be intentional and carve out time every single week. We need to do something every single week. So ladies, if you're listening, sisters, wives, best friends, figure out ways to carve out time. And one thing I shared was even us meeting on a weekly basis, because we have our Wednesday calls. We still, that's a way of self-care, being able to talk to someone. And if you can't get to a therapist, because everybody's financial situation is different, but having some time to have some girl time. And don't feel like girl time has to be out and about. You can just be at someone's house, get on FaceTime, grab you a drink, and just relax. So definitely take that time for yourself, because we need you, your family needs you. We need you. So do what you need to do, ladies.
I agree
Absolutely.
with that wholeheartedly. And that goes back to what you said about being replaceable. The only place that you're not replaceable is with your family. So just making sure you take that time um to take care of yourself and spend the time with people who mean the most to you is very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I have a little exercise that I would like for us to do in the spirit of self-care, and kind of thinking back to what you said about with my therapy sessions, how I have the tendency of bringing stuff to y'all. And I actually put this in my single mom's journal too, because I think it's a really good practice, and it's something that I was not doing. I was not mindful of doing consistently before her having me do it. Like, I start all of my sessions out, the top of my sessions, I have to tell her 3 good things from my week. Every session starts that way. And it's a really good exercise for mindfulness, I believe. And it's one, like Adrienne said, like, self-care doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be super involved or super in depth to have a big impact. So it's something that's really low maintenance, really easy to do, but it has a great impact on you if you can consistently include it in your routine. And consistently doesn't mean every week or, when you wake up every morning, but just on a regular basis on whatever you decide. So I would like to ask you guys to give me and our listeners 3 good things from your previous week. And that can be big or small. It can be the absolute smallest thing, but just 3 good things from your week.
Okay. Okay, I have 2. Give me 1 second for the third.
So while y'all are thinking, I will start off.
Okay.
To give you a little more time. So, and these are things that I, at least a couple, maybe 2 of them or 1 of them, I shared in my session this week. So that's why, it's going to be a little easier for me. So one of my things was I talked to my bonus daughter this week. Very casual conversation. We didn't talk about anything at all. And we haven't done that in a long time. So that's why it was one of my good things. We talked for maybe about 15 minutes, if that, just kind of catching up. And so that felt really good. So that was one of my things. Another one of my second thing would be that I had the opportunity. I went on another bridal celebration yesterday. My teacher friends took me to a kind of local, a winery in Albertville, Alabama. It's about an hour away from us. It's just past Gunnersville. And so we went to the winery. It was my first time going. We had a really good time. The weather cooperated. It was supposed to rain. It was at least supposed to rain yesterday morning, and it was going to be cloudy the rest of the day, and it was not. It was very sunny. The weather was perfect. It was mid 70s, so it wasn't super hot and it wasn't cold at all. So that was my second thing. We had a really good time. And then my third thing would be, what am I going to choose for my third thing? I'm getting to talk to y'all today. So that'll be my third thing. Because like you said, our talks really do like you said, Wednesdays are our self-care because we have a safe space where we can dump if necessary. We have a space where we can take all the layers off. I don't have to be work Toya. I don't have to be mama Toya. I don't have to be fiance Toya. Like, I am just myself, stripped down, comfortable, laughing maybe too much, maybe too loud, just enjoying each other, not doing a lot. And that feels good. And it's needed. And so these Sundays when we get together, and even though a lot of times our topics are more structured, it still feels really good to have more time with y'all. So that'll be my third thing.
Aww.
Love it, love it, love it. Right.
All right, who's next?
I'm assuming it's my turn. So I have my three. Well, number one, although I had to go home to a funeral, I was able to see my cousins, my grandma, my aunts, my great aunts, my mom, my sister even came down. And I stayed. Like, I was gonna come back, but it kind of hit me that this is the first time that we've all been together for a long time. So although I did not reach back to the A until after 1 o'clock, I felt like it was worth the long drive um and being exhausted the next day at work to spend that time with my family. So that was my number one. Number two was being able to go out with my bestie and my husband on Friday night. We celebrated Cinco de Mayo and we had a freaking blast. We have pictures to show, but I did not post any of those pictures, but we had a blast. It was like old times with new friends. You know what I'm saying? Carlos was in the fold. It was just great. Sadly, Ed couldn't be there, but it was just an amazing time to dance, laugh, joke on each other, and just have good conversations, which led to her making some decisions today. So that was great. And then my third thing will be while I was there, this guy walked by and I said to Tanisha, I said, we know him. And she was like, we do? Because everybody that I see that I know, I assume she knows them too. Why? As if we do everything together. I don't know. She was like, I don't know if I know him. I was like, we know him. And he was a cute. I saw it on his hat. I was like, he's a cute. He must have went to A&M. No, he did not. It was actually one of my favorite students' parents. She just graduated from GSU. She was valedictorian at her high school. And she texted me while we've been on the phone, and I can't wait to text her back. But she was one of my most favorite second and third grade students, Imani. So it was just a blessing because I think of her often, but I didn't know how to get in contact with her. But it was just so nice, and I felt like it was just a God thing for them to be out here, and they don't even live on this side of town, and run into them right after her graduation for me to be able to FaceTime with her and get her number, so now we can be together for the rest of our lives because she's amazing. So that would be my three.
Okay, that's awesome. Shout out Imani and congratulations, girl. I'm struggling. I gotta get my life together. Okay. Three things. And I was trying to think of something that wasn't about everybody else. Because it's always about everybody else. Yesterday I got an opportunity to just come home and lay down and just really kind of rest, even if it was for an hour, because that's really all the time I really got was an hour. So I was happy about that because I've been ripping and running all week. Ooh. Got to spend some time with my loctician. It's always like we've never, like, even though it's been a month and a half, we kind of catch up right where we left off. So it's good chatting with her today when I got my retie done. And then I think I'm like T, having this time with y'all, because this, I'm telling y'all, this has been not even the week of closing was stressful. This week I almost broke your sister. So just having this time, I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative. And this week, going in, starting today, we're gonna have to do better because I'm struggling trying to find, and a lot has happened. But I'm trying to tie back to me, because I could have said my daughter did her dance performance, or my son, he lost his phone that night and someone found it and turned it in because he wasn't getting a new phone. So, but I always try to think, okay, Adrian, you, not someone else, you. So
that's good. You bring up a very good point. I think that that's important to kind of be aware of. Do you see how, even with me, and this is something that I've done a lot at this point, like we still have to use a bit of brain power to kind of pull out, those just 3 good things. Lord forbid we said 5, but right. The fact that you were aware, okay, let me think of things that are mine for me, dealing with me, not somebody else's. Like that is so typical of us as not only just women, but as moms, as leaders in our career spaces. Like, unfortunately, that's pretty common, for us to be that way. We tend to put other people first. And that's why self-care is so important. And I think that's one of the many benefits that I know I do. And I think in general, doing exercises like this, getting you to kind of reroute your perspective, it does help you be more mindful of placing yourself first in a healthy way, not in a selfish way.
Right.
What do you think are some other benefits of doing something, as simple as taking a moment to pause and think about 3 good things that happened for you or to you during your week?
It reframes your thinking.
Yeah.
Because one thing that, like, going back to what you guys were saying, like thinking of other people comes naturally. Thinking about yourself first we've been taught that is a selfish act, when in all actuality it's not. It goes back to what they say on the plane: put your mask on first before you can put everybody else's mask on, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you won't be able to help anybody else. You're gonna faint if the air pressure goes down. And I remember my dad used to say to me, baby, take care of yourself, everybody else gonna be all right. And I didn't understand what he was saying. Treasy, take care of you first, and then you can help people. But if you're not taken care of, you won't be able to. So just taking that moment to think of 3 things, I had to reframe my thinking to be selfish in the moment, because I have a tendency to be a servant leader. So I'm forever giving, asking what's going on in other people's world. And that's one thing I'm finding as an educator, is that people don't ask me how I'm doing, not in my job. Like, some of them do, but it is far out of 100 people that I am supervisor over. And that may be an exaggeration. I'm at a new job, so it's probably like 75. Maybe 5 of them come by to ask me how I'm doing today first, before I say to them, hey, do you need anything? How are things going? You know what I mean? So reframing my thinking to take the selfish route is one of the reasons that I want to leave education, because I've given so much of myself over the last 20 years that it's time to take a step back and worry about myself, take care of me, take care of Bryce, take care of Maya, take care of Carlos, and make sure my friends are good. Like, the people who care about me, like, if something happens to me, y'all won't replace me. You may have to find a new friend, but I know how much you love me, and you better love me. I know how much you love me, so I'm irreplaceable with y'all. There's no one that can stand in the place of Tracy. So that's why I make it a priority to be with y'all. But I have to also make it a priority to be with myself. So reframing my thinking to make sure that I take care of me is one of the biggest things that that question makes me do.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Tracy. Because like you said, we think about everyone else all the time. And you saw how I was struggling, like, what did I do that made me happy? That wasn't about necessarily my kids or my husband, but just me. So I think we all have to do that, reframe our thinking, because it has been ingrained in us to think about ourselves as selfish. You're selfish. You're selfish. No, I need to take some time to think about me, even if it's for 10 minutes. Y'all got the rest of this time. I need to think about me. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Reframing your thinking. Yeah.
And along with that, still with reframing your thinking, because you're right, we do have that tendency to not want to come off as being selfish. But on the other side of reframing our thinking, one of the things that she brought to my attention that I had the tendency of doing, it was with another exercise during one of my other sessions, but it was still connected to this, where I had to write down, like I had to draw a mirror. And then like I had to put like all the good things about myself, not just physical, but just overall. And when she took me through the exercise, what she wanted me to see that connected to the 3 good things for your week, when we are asked to critique ourselves, it's so much easier for us to talk about the things we don't like about ourselves, the bad things about ourselves, the bad things that happened during our week, what didn't go well, what could have gone better. It's much easier for us to spew out negativity than it is for us to reframe our thinking. And so that's why I really like that exercise. And I think it's a good practice when you think about self-care. It's something that you don't need any other resources to do. You don't need any money to do it. You don't need a whole lot of time to get it done. It's something that you can do at any moment just to take a pause and reframe your thinking.
That's interesting that you say that, because I didn't think about it. But it's something I do, and it has nothing to do with myself, of course, because I don't think of myself first. But every day, I ask Bryson before asking him how his day was. Well, maybe it flip flops, but I'll ask him, okay, what was the best thing that happened today? To start, because I know something didn't go right. But every day I ask him, what was the best thing that happened? So before you tell me anything negative, you can frame your thinking about the positive, and that reframes the way that he sees the rest of his day. Well, the best thing that happened was I went to lunch. Okay, what made it great? So I asked follow-up questions. Well, it wasn't great. It was just that blah blah blah, and that opens him up to a little bit more conversation about what happened in his day. Why wasn't it the best day? So that's something I've been doing to him since he was a little boy, and I do it to my husband and Maya too when we sit down and talk about our schedules. I tell you, so.
I really
but
like
I make
that.
Bryson talk to me.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing with Jay. Not so much now, but he used to hate when we would do our mother-son dates and we'll go out to eat. It's like, okay, so what are we talking about? What do you want to talk about? What's our topic? He's like, really? Do we have to? Yes, we do.
So you've been podcasting since well before this, just not recording it.
I like that. Like you said, it kind of trains their thinking and ours too, because even with you being the person who's facilitating the conversation, I know a lot of days when you were asking him about his day, like you didn't maybe feel like it. You may have had a very draining day, or, been frustrated about something. But for those few minutes, because, you were being mom and in training mode and getting him to, see his day a different way, it pulls you out of your own stuff. And it gives you that internal reminder that you may not even know you need. So I really like that.
Yeah,
That's
I like that too.
Students too.
Yes. One thing that I was just thinking about doing while we were talking about that is just hanging up maybe a dry erase board. So when I don't see Maya and Carlos, even though I don't see them, they may still see the question, and it's kind of like a question of the day where I write what was the best thing that happened and then they can respond. That way, even though we're not seeing each other every day or talking every day, then maybe we can, communicate that way. You know, just, just a thought I
I
just
like
had
that. I like
right
that.
now.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I gotta try
I
to figure
think,
out some kind of along those same lines, because with the 19-year-olds, they don't want to engage at all.
mm,
Um, and so that would be a good challenge to think about how we can do something that will pull them in and kind of require them to engage even a little bit.
Right.
mhm.
Yeah. Good.
And then
Yeah.
when they write down, they probably will write down the things they want to talk about, you know? Because it might be, we may not be talking, but it may be something that you want to mention. Or it may kind of turn around. Like when I asked Bryson that question, he comes back, of course, to ask me what was the best thing that happened in my day. So it's always a talking point. The best thing that happened in my day was I got off and I came home and I saw you. You know what I mean? And he's like, I couldn't be the best thing, but it kind of it kind of gets us to talking from time to time. But we know he's 15 and sometimes he's just a talker. He's like his mom. So I hope he yields you the results you need or gets that conversation open.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Well, ladies, I feel like this was a great conversation.
Me
It was
too.
much got us thinking about some things. Hopefully our listeners the same. Like, okay. Remember, this week we want to identify three things that went well or happened to us that was good. Three things that happened to us that
And you just made me think of something too. Like, because I know that that's how my sessions start, I move through my week looking for those three good things. So
Wow.
it sets you up to go through your days with an overall different perspective, because you're trying to pull it out, like what's something good that's going to happen, like can I use that, or what will happen that I will be able to put down on my three good things, and of that reframing your thinking, because it sets your expectation. So then you're looking for
I
good
love
things.
it.
So you just made me think of that.
Okay. So
That's
three
good.
things that went well this week or went good this week, and then being intentional about carving out some time for some self-care. We got
Yes.
it. We got
Because
it.
we know self-care is not selfish. It is a very important action that we all need to take each and every week to make sure that we continue to take care of ourselves. And then everybody else will what? Be all right. Thank you guys for joining us. We hope that you like and subscribe and share this episode with your friends so that they can join us each and every week as we come to you as the Wife Life Tribe, doing lives with wives and friends. Peace out.
Mm.